You've been trading in the financial markets for a long time now. Tell us about some of your ups and some of your downs.
When I started, I found the going very easy. I had a good basic knowledge of technical analysis because I studied it intensively while watching this guy in that office at De Beers, and I went through technical analysis of stock trends, and when I started to trade I had a really good knowledge of technical analysis. When I started to trade really in 1982, I really didn't know that much, and I found that things went exceptionally well. Now, 2 or 3 years into the process, I found myself starting to make mistakes. When I started, I knew nothing. By 1984, 1985, I knew I was a guru. I'd been on courses, I read the books. I now had something to protect. And I started to make mistakes. I started to make mistakes in not cutting losers quickly. I started to make mistakes in not adding to winners because I was scared the winners are going to go away. And I've seen this so many times over the years where people who start to trade do exceptionally well. They know absolutely nothing. They follow some fairly simple trend following rules and they do well. Then all of a sudden they become experts and now they've got something to protect. Ego comes in. I'm an engineer, as I've said. I don't know the really flashy definition of ego, but as far as I'm concerned, a working man's definition of ego is that mine's bigger than yours, okay? And it starts to build, it starts to build, it starts to build. You've now got something to protect. And I found, and certainly dozens of people that I know have found, that unfortunately the more you know, at times the more difficult it is to follow a simple set of rules. And I remember one weekend having to go outside. I was living in Johannesburg at the time, to go outside to a little village called Magaliesburg, and I sat on the mountain and overlooking the city, and I resolved to put that right. I did a lot of work on myself, and that's where self-awareness comes in and presence comes in. And it takes an awful lot of time, and for most people, they've got to lose an awful lot of money before they realize that self-awareness and what you bring to the party is important. Prior to that, people will be moving from course to course to course, book to book to book, looking for something that will be right 10 times out of 10 and make them rich. And I assure you, if you troll through the internet, there are an awful lot of people out there who will sell you such a system at many thousands of dollars.
What would you say would be the key thing that you've learned that's changed your approach to the markets?
I think the ability, and you've got to work at it, to be totally and utterly present as the market is moving up and down. I think that it becomes more difficult if you're a short-term trader. There, your present moment could be a 5-minute chart. I have a trading partner and he trades a 2-minute chart of the DAX. So his present moment is a 2-minute chart. He's very good at it. It's too fast for me. I just don't want to be bothered with that anymore. I have had a go at it in years back. And I work very hard at being present, to stay in this moment, not to look at the past moment or the next moment, but to ground myself in this moment. And I've done a lot of training courses with that chap that I talked about and on my own. People keep asking me, well, why do you do these courses if you're making so much money in the market? And at the very first half hour of a 3-day course, I pick some fellow in the front row and I say, you must ask me that on Friday afternoon. Okay. And the real answer, of course, is that sometimes when I'm on a stage speaking to a group of people that are positive, that I feel incredibly present. And when you're in the present moment, it's a very sexy place to be, okay? And you've been there yourself. I'm sure you must have been engrossed in some hobby. And you started it on a Saturday morning at 9 o'clock, and before you knew it, it was lunchtime. And time disappeared. This is a tip for all the short-term traders out there. If you're watching the clock, you're not in the right place to be a short-term trader. And if you're in the zone, time disappears. Okay. In anything, whether it's a hobby. I remember once upon a time flying to New York City, and beside me was the fashion editor of Vogue magazine. It was my fastest flight to New York ever. I was in the zone, and on reflection, I've no doubt it was her longest.